The rain-slicked streets of Seattle gleamed under the sodium glow of street lamps as Tyler dashed across the quad, his heart pounding like a war drum in his chest. "You think you can just waltz in here and play pretend?" The Alpha's voice had snarled earlier that evening. Low and gravelly, slicing through the haze of the faculty lounge like a knife through fog, Director Harlan Voss. All 6'4" of him, eyes blazing with betrayal. But Tyler hadn't run then. No. He'd leaned in closer, breath hitching, because in that moment of exposure, with the world crashing down, all he could feel was the magnetic pull of those storm-gray eyes locking onto his, daring him to lie one more time. Tyler had always known he was playing with fire. Growing up in the shadow of the Cascades, in a sleepy suburb where betas like him blended into the wallpaper, he'd learned early that the world spun on the axis of alphas and omegas, their sense, their unbreakable hierarchies. But Tyler? He was the glitch in the system, the beta boy with a chip on his shoulder the size of the Pacific Northwest. No pheromones to command respect. No suppressants to hide a heat he'd never have. Just sharp wits, a forged transcript, and a backpack full of desperation. It started 6 months ago, in the sticky heat of a Tacoma diner, nursing a black coffee that tasted like regret. His little brother, Timothy, wide-eyed Jamie, had vanished into the maw of Evergreen Academy, the elite Omega-only college tucked into Seattle's fog-shrouded hills. "It's for the best," their mom had whispered, her voice cracking like old vinyl, as she signed the papers. Evergreen wasn't just a school, it was a gilded cage for Omegas, promising safety from the raw edges of the world. Funded by old money alphas who patted themselves on the back for protecting the fragile ones. But Tyler knew better. Whispers from Jamie's frantic texts, before they stopped altogether, painted a darker picture. Parties that turned predatory. Professors with wandering hands. An undercurrent of control masked as care. So Tyler did what any self-respecting beta with a journalism degree from a community college and zero prospects would do. He faked it. A black market scent masking serum from a shady Portland apothecary. A hacked application portal. And suddenly, Tyler Hayes was Tyler Hale, orphaned Omega, fresh-faced and fertile, ready to bloom under Evergreen's watchful eye. The serum burned like liquid fire going down, but it worked, cloaking his neutral beta scent in the sweet, heady allure of an Omega in subtle estrus. He aced the entrance interview, batting lashes he didn't know he had, and just like that, he was in. Room 307, Hawthorne Hall, with a view of the perpetually drizzling Puget Sound. The first week was a blur of orientation mixers and sense sensitivity workshops, where wide-eyed freshmen like him learned to navigate their dynamics, with alphas who guest lectured like benevolent gods. Tyler kept his head down, notebook in hand, scribbling observations that were really leads, a dean with a fondness for late-night tutoring, a dorm RA who doled out suppressants like candy laced with strings. But it was the director who appended everything. Harlan Voss. Even his name sounded like thunder rolling in from the Olympics. Tyler first spotted him at the welcome bonfire. A towering figure in a tailored wool coat. Broad shoulders cutting through the crowd like a ship through mist. Mid-40s. Salt and pepper hair cropped military short, with a jaw that could chisel granite and eyes like the slate skies over Elliott Bay, gray, piercing, pulling you under before you knew you drowned. Voss wasn't just the director, he was the architect of Evergreen's empire. A former Marine-turned-philanthropist alpha who'd poured his fortune into the school after losing his own Omega partner to tragic circumstances. The students worshipped him in hushed tones, their sense spiking with involuntary submission whenever he passed. Tyler told himself it was professional curiosity that made him linger after the fire, watching Voss dismantle a faulty lantern with calloused hands that spoke of boardrooms and battlefields alike. But when those gray eyes flicked up, catching Tyler's gaze across the flickering flames, something primal twisted in his gut, not fear. Not exactly, but a heat that had nothing to do with the serum. New blood, Voss had rumbled, voice like aged bourbon, extending a hand that engulfed Tyler's in a grip firm enough to bruise. Harlan Voss. Welcome to the family. Tyler Hale, he'd replied, forcing a shy Omega quiver into his voice, the serum amplifying the lie with a faint floral whiff. Voss's nostrils flared subtly, and for a heartbeat, the Alpha's pupils dilated, a low growl rumbling unspoken in his chest. Tyler's pulse jackhammered. Betas didn't elicit that from Alphas. But Voss released him with a nod, professional as ever, and Tyler slunk back to his dorm, heart racing, telling himself it was adrenaline from the con. It wasn't. Good. It wasn't. By week 3, Tyler's notebook was filling with damning scraps, a hidden ledger of donations that bought silence, emails from Voss's office authorizing private retreats that smelled like coercion. But the leads dried up around the director himself. Voss was a fortress, his office a vault of polished oak and locked drawers. Tyler needed closer. So he volunteered for the Student Advisory Council, citing his fresh perspective as a vulnerable Omega. It got him into the monthly dinners, intimate affairs in the faculty lounge where Voss presided like a king, dissecting policy over steak tartare and Cabernet. That's where the flirting started, subtle at first, a survival tactic. Tyler would lean in during debates on Omega rights, letting his knee brush Voss's under the table, the serum scent blooming just enough to tease. Director, you're too modest, he'd murmur once, after Voss downplayed a funding coup, his fingers lingering on the Alpha's sleeve, feeling the corded muscle tense beneath. Voss's gaze would sharpen, a flicker of hunger warring with restraint, but he'd pull back with a gruff chuckle, attributing it to youthful enthusiasm. Tyler hated how it thrilled him. Hated the way his body, beta neutral, untouched by the chemical imperatives of heat, responded to the Alpha's proximity, skin prickling, mouth dry. It was the con. He reasoned, the serum messing with his head, blurring lines. But late at night, scrolling through Jamie's last photo, a blurry selfie from the Academy's library, eyes hollow with unspoken pleas, Tyler's resolve hardened. This wasn't about attraction, it was about justice. For Jamie. For every Omega who'd trusted these walls. The dinners became his ritual. Voss noticed him more, assigning mentorship sessions under the guise of council prep. They'd meet in the director's office after hours, Seattle's skyline glittering through floor-to-ceiling windows, rain pattering like impatient fingers. Voss would pace, broad frame casting long shadows, dissecting budgets with a passion that made Tyler's chest ache. It's not charity, Voss would say, voice roughened by cigars he pretended not to smoke. It's survival. The world's no place for them, for you, without structure. Tyler would nod, feigning wide-eyed awe. But he'd push back just enough, structure or cage. Sir, what's the difference when the key's held by men like you? Voss would pause, that gray stare stripping him bare. And for a moment, the air thickened with unspoken challenge, and something electric, forbidden. One evening, for weeks in, it cracked open. The council dinner ran late, wine flowing freer than usual. Emboldened by a stolen sip of Voss's scotch, found himself alone with the director as the others filtered out. Rain lashed the windows like a confession, thunder rumbling distant threats. "You're different, Hale," Voss said, leaning against his desk, sleeves rolled to reveal forearms veined like rivers. "Not like the others. You question. You fight." Tyler's laugh was breathy, serum-scented air heavy between them. He stepped closer, too close, tilting his head in that practiced omega tilt. Vulnerability laced with fire. "Maybe I just see you, director. All that armor. And underneath, a man who built this place not for glory, but for ghosts." Voss's breath hitched, hand rising as if to touch, then freezing. His scent, cedar and storm, pure alpha dominance, crashed over Tyler like a wave, making his knees buckle. "Careful," Voss growled, but his eyes were dark pools, pupils swallowing the gray. "Flirting with fire gets you burned." Tyler didn't back down. He couldn't. Heart slamming, he closed the gap, fingers grazing Voss's tie. Voice a husky whisper, "Then burn me." The kiss was cataclysmic. Voss's mouth claimed his with the force of pent-up tempests, hands gripping Tyler's hips hard enough to mark, lifting him onto the desk amid scattering papers. Tyler gasped into it, the serum amplifying every sensation, the rough scrape of stubble, the taste of scotch and salt, the alpha's growl vibrating through his bones. It was wrong, reckless, but in that suspended storm, with Seattle weeping outside, Tyler forgot the lie. Forgot Jamie. Forgot everything but the man unraveling him thread by thread. They broke apart gasping, Voss's forehead pressed to Tyler's, breath ragged. "This. We can't." But Tyler silenced him with another kiss. Desperate. Drowning. For the first time, the con felt like truth. That night, tangled in the sheets of Voss's off-campus loft, a minimalist expanse of exposed brick and leather-bound books overlooking the sound, Tyler's world tilted. Voss was gentle in ways that belied his size, mapping Tyler's body with reverent hands, murmuring praises that cracked something deep in Tyler's chest. "Beautiful," Voss breathed against his throat, scent marking him instinctively, the alpha's claim seeping into skin that had never known it. Tyler arched, lost in the illusion, whispering Voss's name like a prayer. But dawn brought clarity, cold as the autumn chill seeping through the loft's windows. Tyler slipped out before Voss stirred, serum vial clutched in his fist, notebook heavier with a new entry, Voss, vulnerable. Leverage? Or liability? Back in his dorm, staring at the ceiling's water stains, guilt coiled like smoke. This wasn't the plan. Flirting for access? Yes, but falling? That was betrayal of a different kind. The next advisory meeting, Voss was all business, but his glances lingered, charged with memory. Tyler played the part, demure omega, but inside, turmoil churned. He pushed harder on the leads, cornering a tipsy RA at a kegger. Jamie Hayes, remember him? Transferred out last spring? The girl paled. mumbling about voluntary withdrawal, but her eyes darted to Voss's office like it held skeletons. Then the hook snagged. A late-night email from an anonymous account. Check the subbasement archives. Room 12. For your brother's sake. Tyler's blood ran cold. He waited for the witching hour, campus silent under a harvest moon, and slipped into the admin building with a pilfered keycard. The subbasement smelled of mildew and secrets. Fluorescent hummed the only heartbeat. Room B12, a dusty file cabinet. Inside, folders thick with redacted reports, omegas, counseled into silence. Payouts disguised as scholarships. And there, buried like a grave marker, Jamie's file. Not withdrawal. Expulsion. For inappropriate conduct with a faculty member. A name blacked out, but the date matched a gala Voss had hosted. Tyler's hands shook as he photographed it all. Flash stark in the gloom. Footsteps echo, heavy, deliberate. He froze. Heart in throat. The door creaked open, silhouette filling the frame. Hale? What the hell are you doing down here? Voss. Eyes narrowing in the dim light, scent sharpening to edged steel. Tyler straightened, phone burning in his pocket. Lie or truth? The serum faltered, his beta neutrality peeking through like a crack in ice. Just. Director. For the council. Voss stepped closer, nostrils flaring. Research that requires breaking and entering? Try again. The air thickened. Accusation hanging. Tyler's mind raced, escape. Flirt his way out? But Voss's gaze dropped to the open drawer. To the file peeking out. Jamie's name. Unredacted in the photo's glow. Voss breathed. Voice fracturing. You're not. The serum chose that moment to wear off. Tyler's true scent, clean. Unremarkable beta, flooding the room. Voss recoiled like he'd been struck. Face twisting in raw betrayal. A goddamn infiltrator. Pretending to be one of them. Pretending with me. Tyler's mouth went dry. Harlan. Wait, that's not. But Voss was on him, pinning him against the cabinet with a forearm like iron, breath hot and furious. You played me. Used your body like a weapon. For what? The story? Revenge. His free hand snatched the phone. Eyes scanning the photos. Each swipe a gut punch. Jamie Hayes. Your brother. This is personal. Tears stung Tyler's eyes, not from fear, but the shattering of the fragile thing they'd built. He was broken here. They covered it up. You covered it up. Voss's grip slackened. Horror dawning. I didn't know. Good. Tyler. I swear, but the lie hung, because the file screamed complicity. The alpha's face crumpled. The unbreakable man fracturing. Get out. Before I do something we'll both regret. Tyler fled into the night. Rain mingling with tears. The city's lights blurring into accusation. Back in his dorm, he uploaded the files to a secure drive. Fingers flying. Whistleblower sites. Underground forums. Expose it all. But as the upload ticked, Voss's touch ghosted his skin. A phantom ache. Betrayal cut both ways. By morning, the campus buzzed. Voss called an emergency assembly. Voice steady over the PA. Evergreen stands for protection. But shadows linger. Today, we face them. Rumors swirled, resignations, investigations. Tyler watched from the back, hoodie pulled low, as Voss's eyes scanned the crowd, finding him. Not anger. Sorrow. A silent plea. That afternoon, a knock shattered the quiet. Drenched from the downpour, filling the doorway like Judgment Day. We need to talk. Now. Tyler stepped aside, the room shrinking. No serum this time. Just truth. Raw and bleeding. The dorm room felt like a confessional booth gone wrong, posters of grunge bands peeling from the walls. A half-eaten pizza congealing on the desk. The air thick with the stale scent of unwashed laundry and unspoken sins. Tyler leaned against the radiator, arms crossed like a shield, as Voss loomed in the center, water dripping from his coat onto the threadbare carpet. Those gray eyes, usually so commanding, were fractured now, rimmed with red like he'd battled demons through the night. Talk, Tyler said, voice steadier than he felt. No more feigned Omega softness. This was beta steel, honed in trailer parks and temp jobs. Or are you here to drag me to security? Expel the fraud? Voss winced, shedding his coat with deliberate slowness, revealing a button-down strained across his chest. If I wanted that, you'd be in cuffs already. He raked a hand through wet hair, droplets catching the desk lamp's glow like fallen stars. I spent the night tearing through those archives myself. Your brother's file. It's a nightmare. But it's not what you think. Tyler barked a laugh, bitter as Seattle's winter brew. Not what I think. A cover-up? Harlan. You signed off on the payout. Discreet resolution. That's code for hush money. The alpha's jaw clenched, a muscle ticking like a countdown. He stepped forward, close enough that Tyler could smell the rain-soaked cedar of him. No anger in it now. Just weary truth. I signed because I was told it was voluntary. The dean, Ellsworth, he handled the details. Said Jamie was unstable, a flight risk during his heat. I trusted the system I built. Voss's voice cracked on the last word, and he turned away, fists balled at his sides. Fool that I am. Tyler's resolve wavered, the raw edge in Voss's tone slicing through his armor. He'd seen alphas play the victim before, charming, manipulative, but this felt different. Like the man who'd whispered endearments in the dark, tracing scars Tyler hadn't shared. Why should I believe you? You run this place like a fiefdom. Alphas protecting Omegas? It's a pretty lie for control. Voss whirled back, eyes flashing. Control? Is that what you think this is? He closed the distance in 2 strides, backing Tyler against the wall. But there was no threat, only desperation, his large frame trembling. I built Evergreen for her. My partner, Elias. He was Omega, brilliant, fragile as sea glass. Raped on a college campus in Boston, some entitled alpha prick who walked because dynamics. I watched him shatter. Tyler. Piece by goddamn piece. This school? It's my atonement. Not a cage. A shield. The words hung, heavy as the rain drumming the window. Tyler's breath caught, chest tightening with echoes of his own ghosts, Jamie, laughing in their childhood backyard, before the world chewed him up. Elias, he echoed softly, the name a key turning in a lock. Voss's sense softened, grief bleeding through the dominance, and Tyler's hand, traitor that it was, rose to cup the alpha's cheek, thumb brushing a tear track. Rough stubble met his palm, grounding them both. Voss leaned into the touch, eyes squeezing shut. I failed him. Swore I'd never fail another. His hand covered Tyler's, holding it there like a lifeline. Good. Tyler. When I scented you that first night, I thought fate had thrown me a mercy. An Omega who saw through the bullshit, who challenged me. Then to find out it was all smoke. The hurt in his voice was a knife twist. Tyler's throat burned. It wasn't all smoke. The flirting, yes, that was real. The serum hid my dynamic, but not this. He gestured vaguely between them, pulse thundering. I needed in. For Jamie. But you snuck past my walls. Voss's gaze darkened. Not with fury, but that same hungry storm from the loft. Snuck? You crawled under my skin. But made me feel alive for the first time since Elias. He surged forward, capturing Tyler's mouth in a kiss that was all teeth and salt, anger, longing, forgiveness tangled in the press. Tyler melted into it, hands fisting Voss's shirt, pulling him closer until the world narrowed to the heat of bodies aligning, the scrape of belt buckles, the gasp of surrender. They tumbled onto the narrow bed, a mess of limbs and whispered confessions. Voss's hands were everywhere, reverent, demanding, peeling away layers of clothing and lies. Tell me everything, he growled against Tyler's collarbone, teeth grazing just shy of marking. No more games. Tyler arched, breath hitching as calloused fingers mapped the flat plane of his beta chest. No sensitive swells, no heat-swollen need, just on his skin. Jamie. He came here hoping for safety. Fell for a Professor Ellsworth's golden boy. When it soured, they painted him as the seducer. Forced him out, gagged him with money and threats. Tears pricked Tyler's eyes, spilling hot. He's crashing on friends' couches now, popping pills to sleep. Says he'll never trust an alpha again. Voss stilled, forehead pressed to Tyler's, his own eyes glistening. Price. I'll fix it. Burn it all down if I have to. The vow rumbled through them, sealing something deeper than lust. They moved together then, slow and shattering, Voss's dominance tempered by tenderness, Tyler's guarded heart cracking open. No serum to blame, no roles to play, just two men, broken and binding, chasing solace in the storm. Tangled in sweat-damp sheets, Voss traced idle patterns on Tyler's back. Voice a low murmur. You're not Omega. But you're mine. If you'll have me. Dynamic be damned. Tyler's laugh was watery, pressing a kiss to the alpha's throat. Beta stubbornness included? Good luck with that. For a fragile week. It was paradise. Voss pulled strings, quietly at first, summoning Ellsworth to his office. The dean sweating under that unyielding stare. Tyler sat in on the interrogation, notebook open, capturing every stammered admission, the predatory hires, the coerced NDAs, the retreats that were little more than grooming dens. Voss didn't fire on the spot, no. He was surgical, building a case with HR and external auditors, his marine precision turning the school inside out. Nights blurred into stolen bliss. Voss's loft became their haven. City lights painting their skin in neon confessions. They'd cook, Tyler's disastrous attempts at risotto earning Voss's rumbling laughter, then lose hours to jazz records spinning on an old turntable, bodies swaying slow in the dim. "Your trouble," Voss would growl, nipping Tyler's ear. But his arms wrapped tighter, scent-marking with possessive rubs that made Tyler's toes curl. Tyler reached out to Jamie, voice cracking over the phone. "Come back." "It's changing." Jamie's silence stretched, then broke in a sob. "You don't get it? They broke me." But there was a spark, hope, faint as dawn, when Tyler promised, "Not anymore." The council meetings shifted too. Tyler dropped the Omega facade publicly, standing tall as himself, Beta voice cutting through the deference. "Dynamics don't define us," he'd argue. Voss nodding from the head, pride flickering in those gray depths. Whispers spread, the director's pet project. Or more, but Tyler didn't care. For once, the stairs felt like allies, not enemies. Then, the backlash hit like a Pacific squall. It started with anonymous emails to the board, Voss covering for a fraud. Beta spy in our midst. Leaked photos, from the subbasement. Grainy but damning, Voss pinning Tyler. Expressions twisted in passion or fury, depending on the angle. The tabloids pounced. Seattle Sentinel headlines screaming, "Alpha Director's Omega Scandal, Fake Heats and Forbidden Fruit?" Voss's phone exploded, donors pulling funds, alumni howling for blood. Tyler's dorm became a foxhole. Hate mail slipping under the door, beta whore, ruining our safe space. He burned them in the sink, but the fear lingered, a cold coil in his gut. Worse was Voss's fracture. The unbreakable Alpha withdrew. Meetings canceled. Loft empty when Tyler arrived with takeout. A note on the counter, board emergency. Stay safe. Tyler didn't. He stormed the admin building at dusk. Rain sheeting down, finding Voss in his office amid stacks of resignation drafts. "What the hell? Harlan? You ghost me now." Voss looked up. Hollowed, dark circles under eyes. "Ty ask you. They're coming for us. For Evergreen. If I step down, maybe they spare the school." He stood, rounding the desk, but stopped short, hands flexing like he ached to touch. "You were right. It's a cage. My cage. I can't drag you into it." Tyler's heart seized. "Bullshit. We're in this together." "The files," Ellsworth confessed. "We expose it all. Let the chips fall." Voss's laugh was hollow. "And paint a target on your back? You're not Omega." "Tyler. No one's rushing to protect you. They'll crucify you as the villain, the beta who tricked an Alpha's heart." The words landed like blows, but Tyler saw the lie beneath, Voss's fear. Not of scandal, but loss. Echoes of Elias. "Then let them. I didn't start this for glory. I started it for Jamie, for every kid like him." He closed the gap, fisting Voss's shirt, voice fierce. "And for you. Don't you dare quit on us." Voss shattered then, pulling Tyler into a crushing embrace, mouth crashing down in a kiss tasting of despair. "I can't lose you too," he rasped, hands trembling as they roamed. "Urgent." Claiming. They made desperate love on the office couch, quick, brought the city's indifferent hum underscoring their gasps. "Stay," Voss begged after. Tyler curled against his chest. Heartbeat a frantic drum. "Just stay." But betrayal has teeth. 2 days later, Tyler's phone buzzed with Jamie's text. "Found something. Ellsworth's got dirt on Voss. Real bad. Meet me at Old Pier. Midnight." Tyler's blood chilled. The pier, abandoned, fog-shrouded, a relic of Seattle's shipping heyday. He slipped out, telling himself it was caution, not dread. The serum was gone. But old habits died hard. He pocketed a switchblade from his brother's old kit. Midnight fog swallowed the pier, waves slapping pilings like accusations. Jamie emerged from the gloom, thinner, eyes haunted, but alive. "Ty," he whispered, hugging fierce. "I hacked Ellsworth's drive." Voss knew about the assaults. Buried them to protect the donors. The words were venom. Tyler reeled. Photos thrust into his hands, emails, dated years back. Voss's signature cold as steel, handled discreetly. Evergreen first. Betrayal. Sharp and silver. "No," Tyler choked. "He wouldn't." Jamie gripped his arm, sent spiking with omega fear. "He did. For the greater good. Get out." Before, a shadow detached from the mist. Ellsworth, flanked by 2 burly security, Alfs, reeking of malice. Touching family reunion, the dean sneered, voice oily. "Hand over the drive. Or your brother's next withdrawal is permanent." Tyler's blade flashed. But numbers won. A crack to the temple. World spinning black. He woke to salt air and zip ties. Dragged into a warehouse at the pier's end, Ellsworth's private retreat site. Files hadn't lied. Jamie slumped nearby. Bruised but breathing. "Sorry," his brother mouthed, eyes pleading. Voss's face appeared then. Projected on a laptop screen, live feed from the office. "Ellsworth," the alpha barked. Voice tinny. "Release them." "This ends now." The dean chuckled, pocketing the drive. "Ends? With what you buried. Donors will love this, Director Voss. Savior turned sinner. Step down, or the beta's blood's on you." Tyler's stomach plummeted. Voss's eyes met the cameras, his filled with agony. "Tyler." "I'm sorry." The screen went dark. Footsteps echoed outside. Rescue? Or doom? The warehouse loomed like a forgotten beast. Rusted girders clawing at the fog-shrouded ceiling. The distant wail of fairies mocking their isolation. Tyler's wrists burned from the zip ties. Head throbbing from the blow. But it was the betrayal echoing in his skull that hurt worst. Voss's face on that screen. Eyes like shattered glass. Apologizing as if words could staunch the bleed. "I'm sorry." For what? The cover-ups? The lies? Or the love that now tasted like ash? Jamie stirred beside him, chained to a support beam, his omega frame shivering in the damp chill. "But he sold us out. Just like they all do." His voice was a rasp, laced with the bitterness of too many broken trusts. Bruises bloomed purple on his cheek, a map of the night's violence. And Tyler's gut twisted. This was what Evergreen wrought. What Voss's shield enabled. "Shut up," Tyler hissed. Not a Jamie, but the doubt gnawing him. He strained against the ties. Plastic-biting skin. Mind racing for leverage. The laptop hummed on a crate nearby. Ellsworth pacing like a smug cat. Phone glued to his ear. Director Voss is en route. With the resignation letter. Your funds are safe, our little Omega problem resolved. En route. Tyler's heart lurched. Not rescue, surrender. But trading his soul for their skins, just like the emails damned him for doing before. The thought ignited fury, hot and clarifying. No more illusions. No more flirting with fire. Just survival. For Jamie's sake. Ellsworth pocketed his phone, turning with a predatory smile. His weaselly alpha scent, cheap cologne over sweat, cloying in the air. Your knight in shining armor. Hail, or should I say haze? Pathetic. Really? All that bluster? And he folds like wet paper. Breath hot on Tyler's face. Fingers tilting his chin with false gentleness. You could have been something here. A pretty Omega pet for the director. Instead, you poked the bear. Tyler's lip curled, spitting blood-flecked defiance. Go to hell. You limp dick enabler. Burying assaults? You're the reason kids like my brother end up ghosts. Ellsworth's hand cracked across his face. Stars exploding behind Tyler's eyes. Jamie yelped, straining futilely. Watch your mouth. Beta trash. Dynamics have rules. Omegas need guidance, firm guidance. Voss understood that. Before you poisoned him with your sob stories. The door groaned open then, admitting a gust of briny wind and Harlan Voss, disheveled. Coat flapping like broken wings. A manila envelope clutched in white-knuckled fist. His eyes swept the scene, landing on Tyler and Jamie with visceral pain, scent spiking sharp with alpha distress. Ellsworth, he growled, voice a low quake. This ends. The letter's here, my resignation. Full board handover. Let them go. The dean rose, snatching the envelope with glee, flipping through pages like a gambler counting chips. Eager to atone. Harlan, after all these years propping up my indiscretions, he tossed the laptop onto the crate, screen flickering to life with those incriminating emails, Voss's signature. Bold and damning. Or is it guilt? For Elias? For every Omega you saved by looking away? Voss flinched, but his gaze locked on Tyler. A silent torrent, trust me. It cracked something in Tyler's chest, hope? Or fresh wound? The alpha stepped forward, hands raised in submission, but his eyes flicked to the shadows. Calculating. You want the school? Take it. But touching them? That's your grave. Ellsworth laughed, signaling his goons, two slab-jawed security alphas. Sense heavy with aggression. Grave? Please. With your signature on these, you're the villain. The board will thank me for cleaning house. He nodded to the guards. Rough 'em up. Make it look like a scuffle gone wrong. Tragic Omega relapse, heat frenzy. Beta interloper caught in the crossfire. The first guard lunged for Jamie, meaty fist raised. Time slowed, Tyler's shout raw in his throat, then Voss exploded. Marine instincts ignited. He tackled the guard like a freight train, elbow cracking into windpipe with surgical force. The second guard charged, but Tyler's zip ties be damned, kicked out, heel connecting with knee in a sickening pop. Chaos erupted, grunts? The metallic tang of blood. Ellsworth scrambled for the laptop. But Amy, clever, desperate Jamie, wrenched his chain, foot hooking the dean's ankle. Down he went, skull meeting concrete with a wet crunch. Tyler surged, using the momentum to snap his ties on a jagged beam edge. Blade forgotten but freedom found. Harlan. Voss was a whirlwind, disarming the second guard with a chokehold that left the man wheezing, then zip-tying him with his own cuffs. He spun to Tyler, hands framing his face, thumbs swiping blood from split lips. "You okay?" I thought. The kiss was frantic, grounding, tasting of copper and relief. Later, Tyler gasped, nodding to Jamie. Voss freed his brother with quick slices, Jamie collapsing into Tyler's arms, sobs muffled against his shoulder. "You came," Jamie whispered. "Knew you would." But Voss's face darkened. Retrieving the laptop, screen cracked but files intact. Not over. Ellsworth's got backups. And the board. He trailed off, envelope now smeared with warehouse grime. Sirens wailed distant, someone's scuffle alerting the port authority. Ellsworth groaned, stirring, eyes venomous. "You think this saves you? The truth's out." Voss. "Your hands are dirty." Voss not. Voss. "Then we wash them together." He smashed the laptop under his boot, sparks flying, then hauled Ellsworth up by the collar. "Confess. On record. Or I let the cops find you with 2 assault victims and a history of grooming." The dean sagged, fight bleeding out with his blood. "Fine. But it was me, the hires, the retreats." Voss. He suspected, but I fed him lies. Donors demanded discretion. Tyler recorded it all on his phone, shaky, but damning, heart-pounding as Voss's eyes met his over Ellsworth's shoulder. Not betrayal. Partnership. The Alpha had played the long game, the resignation, a feint, tipped off by a loyal secretary who'd intercepted Ellsworth's calls. "I came for you," Voss murmured as cops swarmed, cuffing the guards and Dean. Always. The aftermath was a hurricane of statements and headlines. Evergreen Academy purge, Director Voss exposes corruption. Donors fled. But so did the shadows, survivors emerging, voices amplifying the expose Tyler and Voss co-authored for the Post-Intelligencer. Jamie entered therapy, funded by Voss's personal coffers. His texts lighting up Tyler's phone with tentative jokes. "Tell your alpha boyfriend I said thanks. And get a real bed, dorms suck." But paradise had thorns. The board forced Voss out, honorable discharge. They called it, with a golden parachute stained by suspicion. Protests erupted on campus, Omegas chanting for reform, betas like Tyler's suddenly visible allies. Voss retreated to his loft, nursing scotch in solitude, while Tyler juggled interviews and classes, the weight of exposure grinding him down. Though they were sanctuary. Tyler would slip in. Key Voss had pressed into his palm weeks ago, finding the Alpha on the balcony, staring at the sound's black mirror. "You're brooding," Tyler would tease, sliding into his lap, nipping the shell of his ear. Bad for that handsome scowl. Voss's chuckle was rumble deep, arms banding tight. "Handsome? You're biased." But his hands roamed. Possessive, healing, mapping freckles, coaxing moans that echoed off brick. They'd make love with the city as witness. Slow and sacred. Voss's mouth tracing vows on Tyler's skin. Mine. No titles. Just us. Yet doubt festered. Whispers followed Tyler, gold digger, scandal starter, and Jamie's setbacks. A panic attack landing him in ER. Yanked Voss away mid-dinner. Go, Tyler urged, masking hurt. Family first. Blown. The loft echoed hollow. Tyler paced. Old fears whispering, he's alpha. You'll never be enough. A bottle of scotch called. Half empty, he poured a finger. The burn loosening tears. The con was over. But the performance lingered, flirting with truth. Terrified of the fall. Dawn brought confrontation. Voss returned. Exhausted. Collapsing onto the couch. Jamie's stable. Blames himself. Stop. Tyler's voice cracked. Glass slamming down. Just stop. This, it's a rebound. Your atonement play. I'm the beta who got under your skin. But when the dust settles, you'll need an omega. Someone who fits. Voss surged up, pinning him gently, eyes blazing. Fits? You think dynamics dictate this? He kissed Tyler fierce, pouring frustration into it, teeth. Truth. Elias was my past. My now. My future. Beta. Stubborn. Beautiful pain in my ass, doesn't change a damn thing. Tyler broke. Sobs racking him. Voss holding tight as the dam burst. The fear of loss. The scars of Jamie's pain. The terror of loving so fiercely it could destroy. I can't lose you, he gasped. Not after. You won't. Voss's promise was bedrock. Sealing with a mark, not bite, but words etched in skin. We're rewriting the rules. Together. But rules had enforcers. A week later, the real storm broke, a donor's son. Scorned alpha from the old guard. Leaked Voss's full history, Elias's assault detailed in vicious tabloid spin. Painting the director as vengeful tyrant. Protests turned ugly. Pickets at the loft, Voss out. Predators protect predators. Voss hardened. Retreating into lawyer calls. But Tyler saw the toll, sleepless nights. Scotch bottles multiplying. Fight it, Tyler urged. But Voss's smile was ghost thin. Some wars you lose to win the peace. The knife, Jamie's call. Voice shattered. But I'm leaving. For good. Portland program, new start. Voss. The leak mentioned Elias. Details only I knew. He told you. Voss hadn't. But the seed of doubt bloomed, poisoning the air. Tyler confronted him that night, printouts trembling in hand. Did you leak it? To discredit the donors. Voss's face drained. What? No? No. But his pause, that fractional hesitation, was damning. Tyler. Listen. Save it. Tyler stormed out, rain swallowing his footsteps, heart a ragged wound. Betrayal's echo. Louder now. Alone in his dorm. Quebec notebook. The serum vial shattered in the sink. Before it breaks me. But Voss was waiting at the bus station. Soaked and desperate. Blocking the Greyhound's path. Don't. Please. Eyes pleading. Voice raw. The leak? Ellsworth's ghostwriter. From jail. I wouldn't. Proof later confirmed it. But in that moment, faith bridged the chasm. Tyler collapsed into him, the bus pulling away empty. Swear it, he demanded, fists in Voss's coat. Swear. Kiss sealing it. Rain their baptism. The months blurred into a fragile reconstruction, Seattle's relentless drizzle mirroring the slow mend of trust's fractures. Voss sold the loft, too haunted by headlines, and they relocated to a weathered craftsman in Capitol Hill, tucked among hipster cafes and rainbow crosswalks. A beta-alpha haven where neighbors minded their lattes. Not legacies. Tyler enrolled at the community college downtown, majoring in investigative journalism, while Voss consulted for reform-minded Omega collectives. His gravel voice now a rallying cry in webinars. Protection isn't paternalism. It's partnership. Jamie thrived in Portland. Weekly calls laced with laughter. Got a date. Beta. Like you. Voss approves? Tyler would grin. Passing the phone. Voss's gruff. Treat him right. Kid, earning eye rolls and blushes. The Academy scandal faded to footnotes, but its scars lingered, lawsuits settled. Reforms etched in bylaws. Voss's name whispered with wary respect. Though, that was the true rebuild. Mornings started tangled in flannel sheets. Voss's arm a heavy anchor across Tyler's waist. Cedar sent chasing away nightmares. Coffee or me first? The alpha would rumble. Voice sleep rough. Nuzzling into Tyler's neck with lazy kisses that escalated to pinning him down. Laughter dissolving into moans. Tyler loved these moments, the unhurried worship. Voss's hands learning every inch of his beta body like sacred text. No suppressants or sense to mediate, just skin and soul. Afternoons were Tyler's domain, classes in a sun-dappled auditorium, notebook flying with stories of local injustices, queer youth shelters underfunded, trans kids lost in foster mills. Voss picked him up in the old Jeep, windows down, Springsteen blasting, fingers laced over the gearshift. Proud of you, he'd say. Simple, but it landed like sunlight after storm. Evenings wove them tighter. They'd walk the hill streets, hand in hand, Voss's broad frame drawing glances, Tyler's defiant stride daring stares. One night, at a dimly lit jazz dive, saxophone weeping low, Voss pulled him onto the dance floor, bodies swaying close. Remember the loft? He murmured, breath hot on Tyler's ear. First time I knew, Tyler hummed, pressing closer, hip to hip. Knew what? That I was trouble? That you were home? The word stole breath. Voss's hands sliding low, possessive, as the crowd blurred. They tumbled home buzzed on bourbon and belonging, making love on the living room rug, urgent, playful. Voss's growls mingling with Tyler's gasps, ending in exhausted sprawl. Stars wheeling overhead through the skylight. But humanity's arc bends slow, and shadows crept back. The urine. Voss's past resurfaced, not as scandal, but summons. Elias's family, long estranged, reached out, a dying aunt, confessions on her deathbed, begging Voss for closure. He forgave you, the letter read, frail script on lavender paper, for not saving him. But he never forgave himself. Voss crumbled that night. Alone in the study, Tyler found him hunched over whiskey. Photo of Elias yellowed in his fist, young man with Tyler's green eyes. Smile bright as summer. I failed him, Voss whispered. Voice ash. Built an empire on guilt. What if I fail you? Tyler knelt, taking the photo gently, tracing Elias's face, brother to his own lost innocence. You didn't fail. You fought. And me? I'm not glass. Harlan. I'm the one who breaks things open. He pulled Voss up, leading him to bed, undressing him slow, buttons undone like unwrapping wounds. That night was therapy in touch, Tyler atop, setting the rhythm, coaxing Voss from despair with kisses like lifelines, whispers of here. Dawn found them entwined. Voss's tears dried on Tyler's chest. A quiet vow exchanged, no more ghosts. Yet life tested them still. Tyler's big exposé, on a corrupt shelter, drew threats, slashed tires. Anonymous calls hissing beta upstart. Know your place. Voss's protective streak flared, pacing like a caged wolf. Quit it. Let me handle. No. Tyler's stand was fire-forged. This is my fight. Ours. The argument simmered, ending in makeup sex fierce and forgiving, Voss surrendering control. Tyler claiming it. Bodies a battlefield turned truce. Jamie's visits sealed the healing. Christmas? Snow dusting the Cascades. He arrived with a boyfriend in tow, a lanky beta artist named Riley. All tattoos and timid smiles. Dinner was chaos, Voss burning the turkey, Tyler salvaging with takeout, Jamie's laughter filling the house like forgotten music. By the fire, Jamie pulled Tyler aside. You saved me. But him? He saved us. A nod to Voss. Clinking beers with Riley. Tyler's throat tightened, full circle. From fracture to family. The new year brought proposal, not ring, but reckoning. On a hike up Rattlesnake Ledge, wind whipping Lake Sammamish below, Voss dropped to one knee. Not with velvet box, but a simple leather cord necklace, Elias's old dog tags. Engraved for the man who makes me whole. No Alpha Omega bullshit, Voss said, voice cracking over the gusts. Just marry me. Tyler Hayes. Be my partner in all this mess. Tears blurred the vista. Tyler hauling him up. Kiss salt sprayed and sure. Just. Good. Yes. They eloped in spring, courthouse steps. Jamie best man. Riley snapping Polaroids. Vows exchanged in Voss's gravel rumble and Tyler's steady tenor. In sickness. In scandal. In the rain that never ends. Years folded forward. Evergreen reborn under new guard. Voss guest lecturing on ethics. Tyler's byline in national mags. The beta who exposed the cage. Jamie and Riley adopted. A niece with Jamie's eyes arriving via surrogate. Family holidays swelled the craftsman. Chaos. The scent of pine and possibility. But the deepest humanity lay in the quiet fractures. The nights Voss woke gasping from Elias' dreams. Tyler holding him through the tremors. Tyler's rare doubts. Whispering imposter in the dark. Voss silencing with touches that said enough. They fought over Voss's workaholic ghosts. Tyler's reckless leads, but always circled back. Apologies in coffee runs and slow dances. One anniversary. Atop the ledge at sunset, Tyler traced the tags at Voss's throat. Worth the con. Voss pulled him close. Gray eyes sea-deep. Every lie led here. To you. Tyler smiled. Not cosmic. but no less profound. In America's vast, flawed tapestry, two men had woven their thread, not perfect, but persistent. Romantic in resilience, dramatic in devotion, human in the hurt that healed. And in the end, as rain misted the horizon, they descended hand in hand, not pretending anymore, but profoundly, unapologetically real.